guys, it's Elaine Hardy Fit. It's Sunday morning and I'm craving pancakes. So I'm going to be making a recipe for cottage cheese pancakes. One of my aunts had this recipe and I've changed it a little bit to make it a little bit more fit friendly, if you will. So the first thing is there's 3/4 cup of flour. You can use the flour of your choice for this. I haven't tried it with almond or coconut flour, but it would probably work. You may have to adjust some of the other baking powders. The next thing is 3/4 teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm just going to whisk those up real quick. I usually split this recipe between my husband and I. It doesn't make that much, so if you want to make it for more people, you could double the recipe. Interesting that a red container for 21-day fix is the same as about 3/4 cup. I think my measurements are a little bit off, so you can see I overfilled it, but I measured it in my 3/4 cup. So this is 3/4 cup of low-fat cottage cheese and 2/3 cup of almond milk, and I also added to it 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I put the vanilla in there already. So we'll get that in there. And this is where the recipe changes a lot from my aunt. I think she added like 4 eggs. I have 2 egg whites in here. So the egg whites are going to go in. And I'll give that a whisk. So for my 21-day fix people, if you were to use this recipe and split it between 2 people, in theory, you really only used 1 and a little more red container. So I would count that as 1 or 1/2 of a red per person. And you did use some almond milk and you used some flour. So just to be cautious on the carbs, I would probably count that as 1 yellow per person. Again, we only used really 1 of these and a little bit of egg white. So if in theory you really only used about 1/2 of a red. So I'd say for each serving, my husband and me, I'm going to count it as 1/2 red and 1 yellow per person. So let me get this going here. My son asked me if I was making any for him, and I said no, but I will after. So you could double the recipe. I didn't want to confuse you guys, but I'll probably mix up another batch for the kids after. If you come on over here, you really don't want to use too much oil. So I already have the pan hot, but I'm just going to give a little spray with some coconut oil. I try not to use nonstick pans if possible, but when you're doing something like this, it's going to stick. So you're probably going to have to use nonstick. So we'll get these going here. And when I'm craving kind of bad carbs, or I'm craving a Sunday morning dinner that everybody else would be having at a diner, these cottage cheese pancakes are delicious. And I'll make them pretty big only because my husband and I are the only ones that are going to be eating them. So they'll probably end up being about 2 to 3 per person. That's all I'm going to do for now. Then Target has big bags, or obviously your Sam's Club and Costco. I always like to do organic frozen berries. You probably already know that the berries that you can get at ShopRite right now in the produce section are like half rotten, especially if they're organic. So I like to buy the organic frozen berries because you can see they're perfectly ripe, they're beautiful. I'm going to count this as obviously a purple container for my fruits, and I'm going to defrost this. If I defrost it, I can put it in a pan on the oven and on the stove, and it gets like juicy and delicious. It almost makes a sauce. So instead of using syrup and butter, which of course would be delicious, what I'm probably going to go ahead and do is just do 1 for my husband and 1 for me, and then I'll pour those over the top. They'll be delicious. So that's going to be our breakfast this morning. Enjoy. I'll post a picture afterwards, and I'll post the recipe too. Thanks, guys.